Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coaching from the Couch. This is your Washington Commanders update. And I am your host, Seawall, checking in as I do each and every single week to give you the latest and greatest in hot topics featuring the Washington Commanders. I'm going to give you a moment. This is the live discussion on the Washington Commanders, brought to you by Bowie Television. We have to go through a couple of housekeeping items. So I'm going to get into those right now. This is a live Bowie Television recording. Everything we say and do here just may end up on your television screens each and every single day. Verizon Channel 11, Comcast Xfinity, Channel 77 from 1:30 to 2:30 from Monday through Friday. And on the weekends, it comes on during the noon hour. Very, very important housekeeping item is that you must say hello to Mama Waller and to Papa Waller, because Mama Waller gets on live and Papa Waller watches the show later. So make sure you say hello to both of them. Also, if you are catching the stream from Facebook, make sure you hit that love button and share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. Tag them on in the conversation. If you're watching from YouTube, make sure you hit the like button, hit the bell so you get the notifications, and you can share this link with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends as well to get them on into the live discussion. I think we are ready to go. If you've hit all the buttons, shared the show, said hello to Mama Waller and Papa Waller, made a note that the show also comes on television each and every single day. Verizon Channel 11, Comcast Xfinity Channel 77. Then I think we can go ahead and get started. Now, recovering the Washington Commanders loss to the Miami Dolphins. We normally play What's Your One Word to describe the game and how you were feeling about the game. But hey, listen, Commanders fans, I really feel like I need to do a wellness check on you all. I feel like a wellness check must be had. I feel like a wellness check must be conducted. So with that being said, tell me what's your one word for how you're feeling right now. How are you doing? Are you okay? Because I'm feeling like you're not okay. I'm feeling like there's some disturbance going on. Let me know, Cameron, Kimberly, Mazdak, Seawall Chaplin, John Adams. Let me know how you're doing. I'm just gonna put it up here. You know, I'm putting it all up here. I'm putting everything up here. Okay, how's everybody? How you hanging in there, if at all? And if you are just tuning in, you're watching from the Coaching from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders update. This is a live Bowie Television recording. Drop in the chat how you're doing, Washington Commanders fans, because I'm feeling like you're not doing well. Understandably so. Understandably so. Even Mama Waller has been sick of it. Okay, she has been wanting me to leave games. She's been wanting me to get up out of the press box. She's like, get out of there. You know, listen. Bill Knox has put away his tranquilizers. Listen. And all those things. Hey, listen, here's the reality. In real life, let's just be honest. It's bad. It's awful. And when you really look at it, I share this with you all the time. If you watch other teams play, you really realize just how bad this team actually is on Sundays and every other day that they play. It's quite unfortunate. And even looking at the records, And when you see that there are teams that are 4-8 that are still in the hunt based on how things are going on with the league right now or with different teams, and then you realize the teams that are 4-8 but are still in the hunt are teams that beat the Washington Commanders, it gets sad. It gets even worse. And I'm just being honest. I think it's time. You just got to be real about it. Because I saw, and I love the comment about the draft position. Yeah, that's all well and good. But hey, when you're part of a winning team and a winning organization, they could care less about draft position. Draft position targets and looking at draft position is typically the mindset of losers, and when you're on a losing team, and that doesn't feel good, because until we are confirmed on who is doing the actual drafting, I'm not convinced that that's a good thing to be excited about. I need to know who's doing the picking at this point, right? I think that's a very, very important point. Draft position only matters if you do what's right at the pick. So that's kind of how it is. And hey, some people make great draft decisions later in the draft, in the middle of the draft. You just never know. You just never can tell. But hey, if that's something that helps you to feel like you can live to watch another game, do what you got to do, because it's a rough watch every Sunday. So, with that being said, why not relive some of it? Why don't we? And if you just tune in, make sure you hit that love button. You can still have time to share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends, because you for certain, absolutely want to be able to watch these next videos. These next videos are the press conferences. I want to go through the after game press conferences. I didn't do this last week because I said I didn't have time. We're not doing all that after. Well, we did Coach Rivera's. And we're going to do Coach Rivera's in a moment. I want you all to drop in the chat everything in response to Coach Rivera's after game presser. We're going to listen. It's about 5 minutes or so. I want you to drop in the chat a few things. How you felt when you were watching the game and thought that Jack Del Rio was still on the sideline. Because as I told you all last week, you fired Jack Del Rio, so what? Okay. That might have made a difference, may have believed you a bit, had that firing come earlier in the season, perhaps after the Chicago Bears. At the same token, I also shared with you all that this really wasn't a big deal in firing Jack Del Rio because, hey, when you look at who was the next best option internally to be the defensive coordinator, knowing that that answer was Ron Rivera, I think everyone saw yesterday what the end result would be of him being that defensive coordinator. So drop in the chat as you're watching this video and watching this presser. We're going to take a look at Sam Howell's as well. And we're going to go through some of the comments, some of the things that I've shared on my page with you all, and kind of dissect some of all of this together. And then start to think about other coaches, other things that the ownership group needs to be thinking about. All of those things that really piece together what makes up a winning organization. And then while you're thinking about that, I want you all to be putting all these things in the chat. Everything that you're thinking when the responses come in, what needs to happen to really craft a winning organization. And I've been seeing this a lot. And it's around rebuilding and starting from scratch and starting over. And Commanders fans, let me tell you something. I really want everybody to think if they can sit through and stomach a true rebuild process, a true rebuild process. Because, hey, listen, there are some things that can happen and things can change in a year. They can. They can change. They can make a shift in 1 year. They absolutely can. But if you strip it all down and start completely over, I would really encourage people to think if they can stomach a rebuild after 30 years of what the franchise has been. And everyone screams rebuild. But it's not until you get in it that you realize you may not want to be in it. So think about those things. Want to hear your reactions as a chat voiceover, if you will, of Coach Ron Rivera's after game press conference.
Well, probably the biggest disappointment more than anything else, we gave up 2 explosives that we technically should have not. We should have been in a better position than we were, and we didn't do that.
You talked a lot about growth with this team in the last several weeks. Is it hard to say that after a game like today?
It is, John. To be frank about it, yes. When you spot 21 points to a very good football team, you're gonna struggle to win a game, and you can't do the things that we did and expect to win.
You mentioned the explosive, the first one with Tyreek. What did you see on that play?
Well, we should have been tighter. His release, we didn't squeeze him on the release. We didn't push into him, and then we just got to make sure we got somebody up over the top.
With regards to Sam, what did you think today? And with Jacoby coming in, was that just a matter of?
That was just a matter of the game was pretty much salted away, and just let Jacoby get out there and finish it up for us.
Now you guys are entering the bye week. What was kind of the message in that locker room, you guys?
Well, we got a quarter of the season left to go. We're bringing them in next week, and we'll work through the next few days and just make sure you got to understand we got a quarter of a season left to play and expect everybody to show up and play.
Obviously, facing adversity right now, coaching staff, players. What's the makeup right now? Like, what's everybody feeling?
Well, disappointed. I mean, you lose a game, and unfortunately, we really didn't give ourselves a chance. We made too many mistakes, and we've got to make sure we can limit those.
Any update on Brock Robinson?
Just the hamstring tightened up, and we just thought obviously to be smart about it. We didn't want to go out and pull it, so we sat him down.
Ron, it seems like the offense, at least from a production standpoint, is kind of ground to a halt these last couple of weeks. You played good defenses, but what's going on your end that has caused that?
Well, we've missed a couple opportunities. I mean, we got to be better up front. In certain areas, we've done some good things. We do enough to move the ball, and then you get a little bit behind, and then how your opponent attacks you becomes different.
Ron, at the beginning of the season, there was a thought that, from a talent standpoint, there had been some improvements, whether through draft or free agency. And I wonder what you think about that now. Do you think that they're still there, or is there more work to be done?
I think there's a little bit of work left to be done, but I do think we have some talent in some spots. I think some guys are most certainly gifted enough to help us win football games, and I think there's opportunities, but we've missed those opportunities. We didn't make plays when we had opportunities to, and there were some that were pretty good examples today of just missed opportunities. You can't do that. You just can't do that in this league, especially against really good teams. You've got to be able to handle those situations, circumstances, and when it does come to you, you got to make sure you make those plays when they're around to be made. And then again, from the coaching aspect, we just got to make sure we're putting them in the best position to have success.
And we know that Dallas and Miami are good teams. Were you surprised at how big the gap seems to be these last 2 weeks?
I'm disappointed that it looks that way. I really am.
There's still 4 games left. I know these guys are professionals, but do you worry about
No.
losing them?
I don't worry about that. So I really don't, Nikki. I mean, they're professionals. They have a job to do. They've got 4 games left to play, and and I told them in there I expect them to come out and do their best.
Terry had 3 targets, no catches. Why was that, and what do you make of that?
Well, that you'll have to look at the tape and go through what the play call is and see exactly what Sam's reads were and what was happening.
What made Tua especially so difficult today? What was he doing?
Well, Probably the hardest part for us more than anything else was, again, we've got to get a little bit more consistent pressure on the quarterback. It's crazy, but there were two major plays that were made that kind of throws things a little bit out of whack. You give it those kind of explosives, it's tough to rebound from it.
Coach, I know you got it, bro.
So there was a lot that was said there, and drop in the chat with your overall thoughts are. And if you are just tuning in, you're watching from the Coaching from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders update. I'm your host, Sewell, and this is a live Bowie television recording. Make sure if you are watching from Facebook, you all hit that love button, and you can still share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. If you are tuned in from YouTube, hit that thumbs up, and you can share the link to your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. We're going to get into a lot of discussion. Just watched a snippet from head coach Ron Rivera's after game press conference. We're going to get into Sam Howell's after game press conference in a moment. Couple different things that I saw in the chat, and we wanted to make sure we highlighted those comments from Coach Rivera's overall demeanor, from what's a couple more years in a rebuild, to someone acknowledging, hey, Josh Harris is very patient. He's going to tear this thing all the way down. I've said this on the show before. I will say it again, and I will say it again, and I'm going to say it again. Go and see what Josh Harris did to his other teams. Check it out, watch it, understand the timeline, understand all of those things. Now, it's not necessarily a direct one-to-one, right? It's not always a one-size-fits-all for all of the things, but just to understand a bit more of his demeanor and what he's thinking about. If you all haven't already, and I plan maybe to go through this in another episode in the future, but if you haven't already, my media colleague, Nikki Javala from the Washington Post, definitely tweeted and wrote about some of Josh Harris's thoughts on the future of the organization and what it's going to take and what it's going to look like. And he's definitely made comments around it being a process and to be patient. And in order to move forward, you got to take a step back. And this is why I continue to bring this up, because yes, hey, totally needs some changes for sure. But I want to compare this to the Wizards real quick. And now we know the Wizards weren't winning anything. They weren't doing anything either, right? We know this. But what we also know is that I've learned this recently with the Washington Wizards. We knew that the team was rebuilding. You saw it in the moves that they made. The new leaders told you that is exactly what they were doing. Yet and still, fans are in an uproar. They can't understand it. They're talking about how bad the team is. They're talking about all the things that the leadership team actually told you was going to happen. They've actually told you this was going to happen. And yet it is still being met with such opposition when the proof is right there in your face and right there. So I want to just say, all right, everybody, okay? Everybody screaming rebuild. Just take a few deep breaths. Because if that is in fact what happens and it goes completely down the shreds, and this is another trust the process, this is going to suck. Let me just go ahead and say it out loud. It's going to be bad. It really is. If it's a true rebuild, if it's true in all facts of the matter. Now, if there is hope of trying to rebuild in a way where things can move quickly, you're going to have to make hey, we're done. If that is the case, truly the case, because you can do a rebuild a multitude of ways. And if you end up doing a rebuild in the way where it is act now, then you have to understand that there is very little room for development. So getting players that you still got to develop, getting players that didn't have to get accustomed to the system, all of that. So you have to already get staff and players that understand the assignment and can act now. They are very clear on the goals and what's to happen. We're not doing a whole lot. If depending on which way they're going, player development, that's old news. That's yesterday's news. We got to get something up in here in the next 2 to 3 years. Who gonna rock with me? Because that's gonna be a whole lot of sleepless nights for this organization in order to get to that point, because that's what it takes. But I just want to caution people, because it's already been bad for 30. If everybody got time for 5+ more, then you are right. But if you want to see something move immediately and they decide not to go that route, it could go up and down. Seriously. I want to go back to coaches' comments around the explosive plays. Now, we can go, this is a topic that I've been discussing on the show for years, right? Where it just seemed like the defense just wasn't prepared for the good players on the other end of the scrimmage line. It just seemed like they forgot, that's who they were playing, or they just didn't really know, or they really weren't paying attention. And one thing I shared last week on the show was, you can go online right now and see who your favorite team's opponents are, I believe, for the next 3 or so years, at least 3. You can see the opponents. You won't see the schedule, but you'll absolutely see the opponents. So you could literally be planning right now for your next couple of years. Seriously. Excellent planning teams always do. So then why is it on game day that it appears they're just not ready for the moment? What is that about? I mean, this has been going on for a very long time, and I wanted to say it out loud so that I just got it off my chest and said I said it again. But I want to go to some of the things that I shared on my page, and let's react to these together. And if you just tuned in, you still got time to hit the love button and share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. Saw this tweet from one of my Washington Post media colleagues that in Tyreek Hill's after game press conference shared this about the man coverage, Quan Martin on his 78-yard touchdown. Whether he was surprised to see it. Not for real, man, because those guys are great at what they do and they also get paid. But at some point, it's like, man, I don't know, man. I just appreciate it. Thanks for not respecting me, I guess. And, if you all know my colleague from Fox Sports 1340, Felix Trammell. Felix and I typically sit next to each other or near each other. And Felix made such a great point yesterday in the media press box. He said, and this goes back to the point of Terry. Hey, listen, if you're not going to use Terry, or if you're not going to necessarily use Diami, I don't care. These players are used to, when they were younger, they played on both sides of the ball. If you don't have a DB that's necessarily fast enough to keep up with Cheetah, that's all right. Because most people aren't fast enough to keep up with Cheetah. That is what it is. But at least get somebody that can run with Cheetah, because at least there's a distraction, or somebody can actually try to bat the ball away and at least appear to look like you're doing something different or out of the ordinary to potentially even try to stop the fastest man in the NFL. I mean, give it a shot. At least try. It can't possibly hurt to at least try some different things. I couldn't believe it. That first one, and I want to go to a couple of the comments here. And I told you all last week, love button fire emoji. If you all remember me sharing, and I think it was last Monday's episode, where I said the game where I knew the season was over. Does everybody know which game that was when I said this isn't what we thought it was going to be? Not real sure what else they're going to do to get out of this hole, but it's probably over. Love button fire emoji if you remember me sharing which game it was. And I see that here in the chat, you already got it. That's right. You watched the show, Kimberly. That's exactly right. First one. Because it was that bad where I knew this was it. And I see this comment here. I want to address it. A competent coaching staff with this exact roster would have made the playoffs this year. A competent GM using our draft capital and cap space to fix the O-line almost guarantees a 2024 playoff spot. Here's one thing that I keep hearing and seeing things about the GM and all of this. I think that what needs to be abundantly clear, I believe that Coach Rivera has been clear. I believe Martin Mayhew has been clear as well. But in Coach Ron Rivera's year being here, he has complete autonomy in decision making on the free agency picks as well as the draft picks. He makes the final decision. Head coach Ron Rivera. He makes the final decision. And he has been making the final decision. Of course, he takes the evaluation and the talent evaluators and everybody, and he confers with his coordinators and everybody. Yes. But the decision maker, the final decision, is with head coach Ron Rivera. I want that to be known and clear. He has said it quite a bit throughout the years and made it very clear. I think in previous years when Dan Snyder still owned the team, folks still thought that Dan was pulling the strings behind the curtain and was still making the decisions. But no. It is coach. It's coach. He makes all the decisions. So not certain what the new ownership group and what model they will go with in terms of the structure of the organization and the decision-making authority in that way. But I do think that is something to be paid attention to, because yes, while we use these terminologies and these roles sometimes synonymously across the board, it is not always synonymous. It's not always used in that way. So I think that I really wanted to share that with you all, because it is something to for sure pay attention to and watch in terms of the decision making of this ownership group and what the correct structure will be for the team, as well as then along with that structure where the decision making authority lies. Please make a note of that. Love button, fire emoji, if you are going to make that note, to be watching for the actual real life structure of the organization. Because we say words and we think they mean one thing in this space, but that's not the definition of it in this space. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. Now, if we jump really quick, let's go back to comments from Dolphins players. Another colleague from the Washington Post, Tremel Rags, shout out to Tremel, he posted some of the content and comments from Dolphins linebacker David Long. And while I'm posting these and we're talking through them out loud, definitely drop in the chat what your thoughts are on what Long had to say in terms of the offense and defending the Washington Commanders offense. He says, all you really have to do to defend this team is just be disciplined. They kind of struggle with the routine parts. When we watch them play, their best stuff was when Hal was scrambling or they moved the pocket and just let him try to make plays. There's going to be rollouts and breaking the pocket. But if you just stay on your man or find somebody when you don't have nobody, it's really easy to defeat stuff like that. Here's some more comments from Dolphins linebacker David Long. 8, 24, 23. So we know, we see it right here in parentheses. There's Brian Robinson Jr., Antonio Gibson, Chris Rodriguez Jr. are all good backs. Of course, they have weapons outside, but I think the run game stood out to me the most. Robinson's a powerful runner. He can make people miss and break a lot of tackles. Gibson can do a lot of the same things. Like, they don't really run it a lot, but I think that's where they are dangerous. The backs are like that. They had our respect. Also, here's some more from Miami Dolphins linebacker David Long. They have some good dudes. Terry, Curtis Samuel's cool too, but I wouldn't say that they have a dominant dude that you come in saying, oh, we got to make sure to stop, bro. You know, kind of like, and this is me, you know, adding on some, you know, some. I read that and I said, oh, so kind of like how they should have been looking at Tyreek Hill, how they could have been looking at Cheetah. Oh my goodness, we're going to have the fastest man in the NFL here on Sunday. Got to find a way to stop, bro. You know, all right, back to what David Long said. I say that respectfully too. They have a lot of good dudes, but we really felt like our defense as was good enough to stop them, and today it was. Terry makes some great plays, but it's not like they force it to him or go out of their way to get him the ball so he can be contained. Samuel was nice, but he's a guy that needs to get the ball in open space to really be effective against our defense when everyone is flying around. That's real tough. So I would like to, and John Adams said, this is just awful. Okay. And then James Roundtree says that he was at the game and he saw what he was saying. I mean, hey, it's real. Everybody can see it. Right? So the positive plays came from how extending the play and making something happen off schedule, almost an ad hoc, almost an impromptu, just trying to make something happen here. That quote sounds like EB's plan plays aren't as effective as Sam's creativity when the play breaks down. No surprise there. This is crazy. They broke down the Commanders' offense really simple. I mean, hey, we've been breaking it down really simple on this show. It's like, hey, everybody else can see it. Everybody else knows. And this is where I've actually had conversations with others and said, and I know this might be ridiculous to other people, but I've told you all that the great Rich Taylor, may he rest in peace, told me, that was one of the first pieces of advice he told me. You all have said it. Drop a love button, fire emoji if you've heard me say it. Don't listen to that what they say, watch what they do. So you can tell me that you watch film. You can tell me that you watch film. But your product speaks differently. Your product says something else. So who do you want me to believe? What you say or what you're doing? Because they're not adding up. It's something else. It's really something else to say, all right, well, I know I've said it. I know other people have said it. And it's like, okay, well, would you watch the film? All right, you're in a position I'm not. But then when you have someone else from another, and others have said it as well. We know that other opposing players have come here and have completely read the offense. They have completely read the defense. We've had those discussions on this show. right? We had one not too long ago, right? Where they were like, okay, they were just going to stay in man. They weren't going to make any adjustments at all. We were like, oh, okay, they just going to keep doing the same old thing the whole game. A recurring theme. And when you have recurring themes, sometimes you have to figure out, when you have a recurring theme, where are the common denominators? Now, let's share some of Sam Howell's press conference. This too is around 5 minutes. Drop in the chat some of your thoughts on what Sam Howell was saying. Also, would love your thoughts on the fact that Terry McLaurin, only 3 targets, no catches. What's really going on with the game? And if, going back to what linebacker David Long said, and if the strong suit is your run game, what's going on with that? A bit from Sam Howell's after game press conference here.
Yeah, I mean it's been a tough couple of weeks. We got to do things better offensively, and it starts with me. I got to play better football, and we just got to continue and try to get better. Obviously, we're getting towards the end here of the season, but we still got a lot to play for, and we're gonna keep giving it everything we got. But no, it starts with me. I got to play better, and got to kind of try to continue to get everybody involved, and get into more of a rhythm early in games, and not let us dig ourselves into a hole. But we just got to be better.
Again, you seem to obviously been good, but did you think your offense would be at a different point by this time of the year, regardless of who you were facing?
I mean, I think we've shown, some really good things throughout the season. We've put together some really good performances, but the consistency just hasn't been there. And we just got to find a way to be better and execute at a higher level and at a more consistent rate. But we definitely have the pieces, definitely have the coaches, definitely have the game plan each and every week. It's just a matter of going out there and doing the things we need to do to get the results.
Sam, you've been able to make a number of plays off schedule the last few weeks, but in terms of just the on-schedule type of stuff, where is that not coming together, from protection to your decision-making to receivers? What's falling short there these last couple weeks?
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint, what exactly it is. And I think it's just a combination of a lot of things, and it's kind of just something different every single time. But we just got to really look at ourselves and, really watch the tape and see what we can do to get better and try to fix the issues.
Can you talk about the interception?
Yeah, just had a quick wide receiver screen. Pretty much just trying to catch the ball and get it out as quick as possible. Just kind of unfortunate thing to happen. Guy made a good play. When I'm just catching and throwing so quick, it's kind of hard to see him. Usually, the DN's not in that type of position to make a play on the ball. But yeah, just an unfortunate thing to happen.
And then the scramble for a touchdown. Can you kind of talk about what's going through your mind during that whole process? And is there a moment where you're like, I need to get down, or are you just kind of selling out for the end zone the entire time?
Yeah, I mean, it was 4th down, so once, what I was looking at wasn't really there, I just tried to, make a play and obviously extend the drive. And then once I saw kind of what was in front of me, I knew I could score, so I just went ahead and tried to do it.
Terry, 3 targets, no catches. Kind of what happened today, and I guess, what went into it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not what we wanted to do coming into the game. Not only Terry, but I feel like we struggled to get all of our guys involved in the game today, and we just gotta be better. Terry's the best player on our offense, and we gotta find ways to get him the football. I gotta find ways to get him the football. Obviously he had a few targets, but 3 targets isn't enough for your best player. So we just gotta try to find more ways to get him involved.
Do you talk to him after a game like that?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had a moment yet after this game, but I mean, he knows what I think of him as a player, and that I'm trying to do my job and trying to get him the football. So it's definitely just something that's frustrating, and it's never the plan or intent to not get him involved. So it's just something we got to try to get better at.
Looked like after the interception, Eric came over and was talking on the sideline. What was that conversation about?
Yeah, just talking about staying positive and get ready to go again on the next drive.
Anything else?
You've got the bye week. What kinds of things do you want to refocus on here coming into the last 4?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to try to do a good job of playing my best football these last 4 weeks and taking it one day at a time. And I feel like if I play at my best, then I'll give our team a chance to win. So I'll obviously evaluate myself over the next few days and try to find some things to really focus on these last few weeks and try to play some really good football.
I know obviously winning's the goal for everybody, but with the playoffs kind of out of the picture in the last 4, what kinds of things do you guys want to do to prove something to yourselves going in these last 4?
Yeah, I mean, I think the honest thing is, I think we know that we're a way better team than what we've shown, especially the last few weeks. We know that with the guys we have on this team, we're definitely capable of winning more games than we've won. And so for us, we want to show who we can really be these last 4 games. And we're going to take it one game at a time and try to give it all we got.
Got time for 2 more.
So, I mean, I saw the comment in the chat where it's like, it sounds like the same thing. I mean, yeah, it does. It does, because you really don't know what to say. And if you're just tuning in, you are watching from the Coaching from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders Update. I am your host, Seawald. This is a live Bowie television recording. This show is completely dedicated to the Washington Commanders. We've talked through all the things. And if you're just tuning in, you can always watch the show later and catch up later. Hit that love button, like on from YouTube. You can still drop the YouTube link. You can still share with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. We're just talking about all the things, and like we do every week. And I wanted to talk about, because we still got to get through a couple of things that I wanted to share. I had asked a question on my page about who you keeping, who do you want to keep? And so make sure you drop in the chat. If you did not comment on my page, because I did grab some of those responses in terms of which players and or coaches would you like to see still be on the team next season. And I might go there first. Since I'm there, I might go there first. And before we close out, I want to go through where I think things went wrong. And so those are 2 things. One, drop in the chat who you would like to still see be a part of the Washington Commanders team as a player, or the coaches. Drop that in the chat. And then also share your thoughts on where you think things went wrong this season, because I have some thoughts on that. And then we will wrap up for the evening. So going to which players and coaches do you want to see them keep for next season? That was the question, one of the questions of the day. I've been asking a lot of questions, and we'll try to get through those answers through some of the shows and everything. But this is one of the questions that I have asked. So I know, James Roundtree, you said coaches, none of them, LOL. And I think you had a comment about a player and players, and it depends on who the GM picks. Jackie Ann Hope says Terry McLaurin. That's what she would still like to see on the team. Sean Covington says he'd like to see Sam Howell, Eric Bieniemy, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Deron Payne, and Jonathan Allen. That's it. Mazdak says Howell, but I think we should consider a quarterback if there's someone that the new staff loves in the draft. Delonte says not near one of them. So when somebody says not near one of them, they really mean business. When somebody says not near one of them, they really mean business. Theo Alexander says, I'd hate to see Eric Bieniemy go just based on this 1-year shot at the tail end of a struggling staff. I think there has been vast improvement in the offense that just hasn't turned into wins. However, you can see the increased production based on the numbers. We need I'm assuming this is offensive line, and improvements in the core of our defense. Here's the thing, point blank period. Those are the 2 biggest issues. That was the 2 biggest issues. The struggles on the offensive line and the defense disappointed. The defense disappointed. Each and every single thing this defense was supposed to be in year 4 of Jack Del Rio and them choosing, daggone near handpicking themselves, everyone they wanted to pay, everyone they wanted to keep, draft, all of that. This was supposed to be their year. It absolutely was not. We remember all the rumors. They only performed well against mediocre to bad quarterbacks, and we actually saw them falter this year to mediocre and bad quarterbacks, or only win if that quarterback was bad that day. Like, point blank, period. All things aside, the defense and that struggling offensive line were the two biggest issues this season. Biggest issue. Biggest. Like, it didn't work. Straight up. So let me see some of the comments in the chat. EB, please don't leave. Sam needs you. God tell Josh to turn Rivera loose. I tell people, I said the Commanders fans we need some help, because people over here, they be calling on Jesus and everything else to help get through this. Here's some other Garage Gym Life. Keep Terry, Deron, John Allen, Jeremy Reeves, Armani Rogers, Sam Cosme, Tressway, and the rookies. All the coaches can go. Bill Knox said fire sale. And I see this comment here. Oh, and Sam Howell. Let's see. I mean, as far as coaches, that decision needs to be made. True, the decision needs to be made. We all know this. Who would you want to see? See, everybody trying to skate the answer. When it's like, we know whoever's going to pick. But who would you like to see? Who do you say, okay, who did a decent job? Who did okay? Or who deserves another chance? Sometimes you got to deal with the hand you were dealt. And some of these individuals, that's not their plight. They dealt this hand. And they got who they wanted. And it didn't work out. Now, that's what I'm looking at. Now, for anybody else who had to deal with the hand they got dealt, but if you shuffled the cards, if you went and got the pack of cards and you shuffled the deck and you dealt the cards, then I'm not real sure what else everybody's supposed to do. John Thomas says you have to start from scratch. That's rebuild. That's fire sale type of talk. If you ask me, you have to start from scratch. Frank Smith Jr. says, keep Scary Terry, Curtis Samuel, John Allen, Deron Payne, Cam Curl, B-Rob, and Antonio Gibson. Terrence Brooks said, nobody, everyone is expendable. He said he's not keeping nobody. That's rebuild. That's fire sale type of talk. Rise Wright says, Tressway, that's it. That's it. Only keeping the punter. That's it. And that's all. And then I see here in the chat, Masdak also adds to his in saying Jeremy Reeves. So, hey, based on who y'all want to keep, that's a whole team right there. Is anybody going to be left with the practice squad? Are we going to have any practice squad participants? Can any of them stay? Who knows? You all listen. This has been bad. Just flat out, this has been bad. And like Felix Trammell, tell Felix again that I'm talking about him on the show. I posted this. I sat there and I said, I will tell y'all, being transparent. I said, this is a joke. This is a joke. And he said, well, jokes are funny. Jokes are funny. And this isn't funny. And I said, and we did have one comment that said B-Rob. We had one comment that came through that said B-Rob. This is bad, and it's unfortunate, and I feel bad for a lot of reasons. But I have said this before, and I'll say it again, and that's why it's like, wow, that this happened in the way that it did. They look so bad out there. I don't think I've seen this team look that bad last season. I don't think I've seen them look that bad as many times as they have looked this current season. And where things went wrong, And you all drop in the chat where you think things went wrong. I know I shared a couple things last week about what I saw in the Giants game and just how I felt about that. But the Buffalo Bills game definitely hit them in the chest. Because they got demolished. That was a rough day. And it was really quiet. It was that hurt their feelings. The week after that was the Philly game in Philly. They played Philly good. The offense had a strong game that game. The defense did not hold up, in my opinion, their end of the bargain that game. But we saw an offense that was still able to keep pace with a Jalen Hurts offense, which was shocking, but they had a great game. Go back and watch that game. I would say go back and watch that game offensively, and I've been saying it all season. The second half of the Denver Broncos game, week 2. Those two games, those moments are what the team could have been if they ever played a complete game. But the Buffalo Bills definitely was a jab to the chest for them. The Philly game, while they had the Eagles on the ropes in their home territory, took them to overtime. They were disappointed with that. That Chicago Bears loss, that got them. That got them. And there are certain moments where there's more conversation that needs to happen other than we'll get them next time or we're on to next week. And there's different levels of accountability at every level. When I know I saw the team work the hardest I have seen them work since I've been on site covering the Commanders, for real. And this is no joke. So to see how this season has played out, I'm like, nah, something else happened. Something else transpired. And this is what I'm gathering in terms of the games, maybe potentially the leadership approaches, the things that were said, the things that weren't said, that they just couldn't get their foot. They just couldn't get it back. Yes, they won in Atlanta, and the guys were really excited about that win. There were a lot of fans that were there, and it made them feel good. A lot of their family members were at that game, but Desmond Ridder had a terrible game. So it wasn't like a really convincing win, but they won nonetheless. W's matter. But I think that Bears game got them. And then the Giants game at MetLife, the Eagles game back at FedEx. And let me tell you something, and I have said this repeatedly, and I'm going to continue to say it. Chase Young and Montez Sweat meant everything to those guys in that locker room. I'm in the locker room. I know this, okay? You can't trade both of those guys and think for 1 second that anyone wholeheartedly believes that you still believe that this team can make the playoffs and win football games. That was forever a challenge. I said they just told the team they're cashing it in and they're preparing for 2024. You told the team through your actions that's what you were doing. That's not what you told them, but you told them that through your actions. So you think about all of the games that I mentioned that they got punched in the mouth. Straight up. All this hard work, all this listen to your coaches, do your job. right? And then you turn around and you trade Montez Sweat and Chase Young, and you think somebody believes you in real life that you're trying to save the season. And I'm going to say this. They absolutely love Ron Rivera. They absolutely love Ron Rivera, but I would be a fool. And I wouldn't be telling the whole truth myself if I didn't say exactly what I just said. And that is, you said one thing, but your actions conveyed another. The great Rich Handler has always said, you don't listen to what they say, you watch what they do. And you telling me you trying to save this season and you believe that we can keep winning football games this season. You have not given up on this season, and you trade Montez Sweat and you trade Chase Young. And hey, listen, I understand anybody who's here, trade them, get this, is that, and the third. Hey, listen, I told Masdak this when he asked me one day, oh, what do you think about the trades? What do you think about the drafts? I can't say nothing about anything until I see who they pick in the draft and see how they perform on the field. You can give them 15 first rounders. Who's picking them? How they gonna play? That's how I look at it. But I can tell you based on today what those two guys meant to that locker room. What you think was gonna happen? You were already struggling on defense, and then you trade both of them. All right. So this is where we are. And you know me. Love button or fire emoji. If you all know that one thing that I'm always going to do is come here and tell y'all the truth. I'm going to tell you because I'm there. Sitting right in there. And I'm disappointed. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I don't care. It's hard. And it gets harder when you know these people and you know you want to see them do well. And you know how hard they have worked and are working. And it was like everything, it was all right there. Then it was gone. Then it was just gone. Just that fast. Motivation, morale. Hey, you can have it one day and it be gone the next. And I think that's what we've witnessed here. I think we've witnessed they love each other. They love their coach. But the words and the actions not matching right now. And it's showing up in the field product. Because those guys were prepared. They were prepared. And it all went left. And we're seeing a team, and then I'm getting ready to close out, and I appreciate y'all so much. We're seeing a team that has gotten worse as the season has gone on. And that is why I had to go back and really think about what we saw on the field, what I may have witnessed, what I was sensing from a game perspective. And in that trade, I think it just was like, what? We're talking about the now. And you can't tell guys that's practicing every day and are spending time away from their families, their children, their loved ones, sacrificing their whole life to win because that's what you said we doing. And then you start making all these kind of moves that are conveying a different story. That's all I'm saying. It's all got to match. The fire is gone. The fire is not, it's not there. It's gone. The morale is low. It's gone. You know, and it's rough. How you gonna tell a D-line that's been together? I've heard and said on the show, and we've heard it actually in press conferences. He said that you never wanted to split the D-line up, and you did. You got something out of it though. And hey, those guys are doing well, right? but your guys are not. So we just gonna keep watching. I have to keep watching. Okay. And I'm so glad you caught the show live as well. You can always watch it later, but I'm glad you caught it live. Live is fun. Do y'all have fun watching this show live? I had fun doing it live. So I never want to record it and send it. I'm like, no, we gonna do this live. But at any rate, you all, I gotta still watch. So guess what? You gotta watch it too. It's like, nah, you do what works for y'all. Other housekeeping items before I close. They're on a bye week. We'll have the Thursday DMV Sports Live. We will have that. We will have that for sure. But next week, when they come back from the bye, I'm not doing a show because they'll be from the bye, and I'm actually going to. I may do a show later in the week, but right now, so next week, no show. I will be back after the Rams game. But continue to follow the pages. Continue to follow. Make sure you're keeping up on Seawall, but Bowie TV at BCMC, Maryland TV on YouTube, and make sure you're following me on all of the pages. But I will be back with the Washington Commanders update after the Commanders play the Rams. You all, thank you so much for tuning in. I just love talking all of this with you all, and I love getting all of your great feedback as well. Hope you enjoyed the engagement. Listen, you all be safe, be well, and I'll be talking to you guys again soon.